Good afternoon. Neil here with the Off the Lip Radio Show, and I'm here again this afternoon with Lori Butterworth with the
Center
for
for
Child
Child and
Adolescent
Adolescent
Mental
Mental
Health.
Health.
Boom.
Center for Child and
And today we're going to
Adolescent.
talk about what?
We can talk about all kinds of things.
Let's talk about that. Let's pick a subject.
Okay. So I think maybe we can talk about school avoidance.
Yep.
And kids, because I think a lot of parents are experiencing their kids just don't want to go to school. We have more and more school refusals now on a trend,
Right.
which is kind of an interesting trend.
What do the schools do about it, if anything?
Well, there's only so much a school can do. I mean, to chase down kids but I hear, we hear from schools, all, in the county. We're in Santa Cruz County now. But schools are reporting that kids, just absenteeism is kind of off the charts. And we think it's because of the effects of COVID, isolation on kids. A couple of reasons, maybe. One is that they were isolated for so long and they haven't really learned how to communicate in person with friends.
Right.
Okay.
It goes back to the phone.
Yeah, you knew where I was going.
Right.
Yeah, and so they were on their phones constantly with their friends. That was the way they learned how to communicate. We already had a problem with that before COVID. That kids were learning to communicate more via their phones rather than person to person, face to face, which we know from all kinds of research that kind of in-person communication experience in person at school is better, and just in life is better for your mental health. So you had all these kids that were isolated during a very important developmental time.
Right.
So you think about kids, let's look at elementary school and junior high school kids. Those are the times when you're learning how to socialize outside of the home.
Yeah.
Where you're learning how to make friends, how to, relate to people, and then how to learn in a classroom, and you develop relationships.
Get yourself on a sports team.
And relate to teachers and all that, and they just didn't know how to do that.
Right.
That's one of the many.
Well, I think the whole COVID thing. No, it didn't come with a set of rule. It didn't come with an instruction manual. COVID, right?
Yeah. Well, it all happened so quickly. I think what happened was we were trying to address the threat of
nobody
the
knew
virus.
How to do. I mean, Gail knew. We'll talk to Gail, right?
Yeah.
When she was Santa Cruz health officer, they didn't come with a set of instructions.
No, and
you're on your own.
Yeah. So for the kids, what happened for the kids? It was really rough on kids. So we talk about the impact of COVID in a lot of different ways, but let's just talk about school right now. So then what kids any of us who are afraid of something, we avoid it. If we don't know how to act in a certain environment, we have a tendency to avoid it, right? Makes sense?
Right.
So they would avoid it. And then the more you avoid something, the more discomfort it becomes, and that more becomes a habit not to go to school.
Right.
And that's just one of the reasons kids might not want to go to school.
Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
So you got a teenage girl. She doesn't want to go to school. Why the heck would she want to come in here? It's like a double whammy.
To
come in here and talk to you, which doesn't even want to talk about it on her own. Why does she want to talk to you about it?
I think, that's a tough question. It's a good question. I think kids coming to therapy, sometimes it's their parents that bring them in, and sometimes it's forced, and sometimes they don't want to be here.
They don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Do they? I mean, you say to me, "Honey, I'm taking you to I'm taking you to therapy." Well, what's that?
Yeah.
Right. Well, we're going to discuss your problem. Oh, kids don't really want to discuss their problems.
I know.
Stuff them.
Well, some kids do, and some kids know that they need help, and some kids actually ask their parents. I've had several patients ask their parents to bring them to therapy because they know that they want to get better and they know there's something wrong.
Really?
And they all, yeah. And so if they're suffering, they want help. But sometimes they just really don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it to anybody. But if they can find a therapist that they can relate to, and that they have a trusted adult outside of the home that they can talk to about these things, we're making huge progress.
Yeah.
So let's go back to school for just a minute. Yeah. So there are other reasons, like for parents, like if your kid doesn't want to go to school, it could be some sort of post-COVID anxiety around going back. It could be bullying. Your kid might be uncomfortable. They might be being bullied. We don't know. They might have a learning difference that you haven't even disclosed yet. Because think about during COVID, kids who would be in school, they might be diagnosed with dyslexia, ADHD, other kinds of learning differences that may not have happened, and they may be embarrassed or afraid to go to school. They may just not have friends. There's all these different kinds of reasons that a kid might not want to go to school. And sometimes what a lot of parents say is they're just lazy. And it could be that. It could be that they're just lazy, but you need to find out, like dig in and see we always talk about what is the function of the avoidance? Why is it happening in a kid's life? And if you can get to that and treat that as a family, treat that as a therapist or have the school involved, we can get them to go back to school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's your job to dig it. It's your job to do the digging.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the interesting ways we do that is with what's called exposure therapy.
Right.
So any anxiety, not any anxiety, but any type of anxiety or avoidance, like maybe let's say it's social anxiety, why the kid's not wanting to go to school. We would do it in increments, like, okay, we're just going to go to school some kids are so afraid, we're just going to go sit in the parking lot today. We're going to sit in the parking lot of school, and then next couple of days, tomorrow, we're going to go and we're going to just walk on the grass out in front of school. And then the next day, we may go to first period or go to a little part of class. And then we do it gradually. That's what exposure therapy does.
Somebody go with them?
Sometimes, yeah. A parent might go with them, depending on their age. I don't think a lot of high school students want their parents in their classrooms, but little by little and piece by piece. Yeah. That has to take a lot of willingness on the part of the child. They have to want to go, and it has to be clear to them and the parents that it's avoidance, and they want.
Some kids want to be in, some kids want to be out.
Yeah, and then there's just school avoidance where kids just cut school and go surfing. That's a whole different thing. So.
That's one subject. One subject today was come and see you about if your kid doesn't want to go to school. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
And the phone number here is
831-222-0052. Do you have that memorized yet, Neil?
No.
222. It's so easy.
I do have 222. My friend up the street's 2222.
2222?
Yeah.
222.
And your website?
0052. Oh, CC.
Yeah.
CCAMH.org.
Okay. It's on social media. I know it's on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, we're right in downtown the SoCal Village. Right. Easy to get to. Bus stop right out front.
Perfect.
Okay.